Hey, folks, it's Friday again, and you know what tickles me, Kevin?
What? What, my good friend? What tickles you?
I saw you grooving in the background as that music was playing. You were sitting in your chair and you were bopping away to it. That actually made me very happy. It,
Sometimes it just worms its way in.
it's been a
I,
long
you know,
week. Everything around me here is on fire, so I've been living in kind of a hellish smokescape for the last week. I don't know how you're doing in your neck of the woods, but I'm glad to see you here.
no fires here, thankfully. Um, I was complaining earlier to my wife that it's been like high 70s, almost 80, and I, for one, am an autumn person. I love my cold mornings. But if I could have 68 and sunny most of the time, I'd be very happy. I like my trees colorful. But most of all, I like no bugs. I need the bleeping bugs to go away. I'll be working in my office and I'll leave the door open because sometimes I see a little air, and all of a sudden I'm under assault, as you guys have seen many times during the course of the show, by any number of flies, and I just need them to be gone so that I can enjoy nature. I like nature without the inconveniences of nature.
Totally get it. It's been kind of weird here because we usually do deal with wildfires, but it's usually earlier in the season. So we've got this weird mix of having what looks like, honestly, if you've ever played Doom, that's what the outside looks like right now. But it's relatively mild and kind of cooler in the morning, so it's like it's the coolest hell you could imagine. I might put some pictures up on Twitter because I took some yesterday. It was the weirdest thing because we actually got some black smoke, so it was like orange and black, and it was like in a bowl above my valley. And there was this teeny tiny dot that was blood red, and it was the sun. It
Oh,
looked it
oh,
looked very cinematic. So
phenomenal!
I might share some of that stuff.
Things have
Mr.
been quiet since I
Montanero,
moved to the suburbs of hell.
I have caught you with your glasses off.
You did. You did. I was
Uh,
working on stuff for tomorrow morning, but did not realize I was on the air yet.
Yep,
So
you're here. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I am surviving. Tell me what you've been up to, besides just working on the site, because we're
Uh,
going to be showcasing a lot of your work here.
well, tonight, the wife and I went to Hallow Scream at SeaWorld. It was $40 to go. There were 5 haunted houses. We were done in 2 hours, and it was scarier than Halloween Horror Nights. The houses were scarier. Like, I actually got scared a bunch of times. I actually cursed in Italian a couple times because that's when you know that I've really like lost control. Um, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very well done. I mean, it's much smaller in scale than Halloween Horror Nights, as you would expect. But the scare actors and the haunted house people are allowed to talk, and it makes it so much scarier because now instead of just somebody jumping out with a sound effect to a timed score, you have somebody who's literally jumping out and going, "Help me!" Or like what? Are you like, and it was They
Yeah.
there was at one point there was literally you're going through like a graveyard, and there's like a big gargoyle statue on top of one of the graves, and it literally tilts towards you like it's falling, and then just stops short of you. But I thought it was actually falling, so my wife completely missed the effect because I threw myself over her to shield her because I thought it was actually falling on us. And I said to her on the way out, I said, "Well, at least you know that when push comes to shove, I'm gonna I'll protect you."
Now, you were saying behind the scenes you're already sick of Halloween because you've
I
done
am.
too much of this already.
Yeah, well, it's been a month straight of just Halloween stuff. Disney's been doing Mickey's Not So Scary since mid-August, but I have no desire or need to do that again because I've done it so many times and they never change it. Halloween Horror Nights, I've been to probably 3 or 4 times already, and I'm going again on Sunday. So, it's just by the time October hits, I'm already done. Though, we haven't really we're rewatching Stranger Things right now. We haven't really watched any scary movies yet, so probably gonna do some of that in October. So maybe that'll keep it alive a little bit. But
I was going to ask if you were going to space it out so that you could get the effect back when you actually hit Halloween, but I guess we'll see.
maybe.
We also have Mr. Stone sitting in the background. Sir, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
Excellent. Have you been to any haunted houses yet, or are you waiting for later in the season?
Later in the season. And I've got one older kid who might be interested in that now, but the younger ones said probably couldn't drag them through them.
Still a bit young for it then.
Exactly.
All right. Well, have you been up to anything else interesting this week?
Well, you guys want to hear about thrilling tales of data analytics and artificial intelligence testing?
I would be thrilled to hear it. That's actually at least somewhat in my wheelhouse.
Well, I doubt the fans would be interested, but yeah, I'm trying to dig into data on human resources and capital management.
Sounds thrilling. Absolutely.
The chat,
All right.
by the way, the chat is pointing out that the three of us are all in black. I'm gonna just assume Martin is also wearing black.
You know, it's like the one day I'm not. I'm actually wearing blue.
Don't tell them that. What you need to tell them is that actually that square around your face is what you're actually wearing this whole time. We have misunderstood that you're just sticking your head through a hole in cardboard.
No, well, so actually, what's happening is we're all wearing black to protest the matriarchy of Trish.
The real reason I'm wearing black right now is that my laundry is in the washer. So this is my doing laundry outfit.
I was born this way.
Not touching that. Not going anywhere near that.
Oh my God, Kev! I've been watching this thing. I'm sorry. Go to the super chat. I'll say it in a minute.
We'll get it afterwards. This one's for you, Kevin. I've been told. So Tyler Golosinski for $9.99.
This was a great week. Praise be the Bear Slayer. Liked, responded, and followed me on Twitter. Oh yes. Holds Lesnar the tweets like an urn and smiles happily for my week.
I think that was stage direction, but that's okay. We're good.
I fully believe in the Kevin Sorbo School of Acting. You just act out your stage directions. Disappointed.
Tyler for another $1.99. Down with the matriarchy. Pro Lorn. If Trish is out there, I'm pretty sure you just summoned her. Where did Marvin go? Did that actually scare him?
I say Marvin's getting his comeuppance for making fun of Eric every time he's on.
I guess we'll see if he pops back in.
Maybe the matriarchy is taking its revenge.
Now, wait a minute here. I think there's been a reversal.
Sure, it's bad.
I don't know if this works if you're playing both sides. Tyler Golosinski for $4.99, and she gets more. I see how this goes. Down with the patriarchy. Pro Mistress Trish. Respect the... I can't do the Dobby voice. I tried it again. It didn't work the last.
Dobby voice. I don't watch the movies enough. Respect the mistress.
XJ Cherokee Bear for $2.99. Black shirts matter. Gotta be careful with that one because depending on how you read it, it could be a totally different group of people. Tyler Golosinski for $1.99. Down with the patriarchy, Pro Lorn. I think that's the one that came ahead, but somehow it ended up down at the bottom of the list again. So you got some of your money's worth on
to be
that
read twice. That's so weird.
that actually wasn't on me. It literally jumped down to the bottom of the list. I don't know how that happened, but in any case, I feel kind of bad because Marvin had a point that he was going to make, and he's just gone. I don't know if I should fill time or if I should just go to the first story. I guess we'll see if he jumps in. We have Morgan & Morgan suing Disney over Steamboat Willie public domain rights. Is Mickey Mouse for the people now? This is by Ron Bradley at That Park Place, which is the site to go to if you're looking for entertainment news. Law firm Morgan & Morgan wants to use the first iteration of Mickey Mouse, Steamboat Willie, in their advertising. In a preemptive strike, they've filed a lawsuit against Disney to ensure the House of Mouse doesn't come after them for copyright infringement. The suit was filed in the U.S. Middle District Court in Orlando, Florida on September 17, 2025. This move came after the firm reached out to Disney to clarify whether they could use Steamboat Willie. Disney's response was short and dismissive. We don't give legal advice to third parties. With that, Morgan & Morgan is now seeking a court ruling that this particular version of Mickey does not infringe on Disney's intellectual property rights. Anyone familiar with Morgan & Morgan knows their famous marketing catchphrase, "For the people." Ironically, that's exactly what the firm is arguing Steamboat Willie has become, for the people. While Disney still owns copyrights to later versions of Mickey Mouse, the Steamboat Willie version of the character first appeared in 1928. Disney fought tooth and nail to extend its control over the work, lobbying Congress for decades. Copyright terms were extended in 1976 and again in 1998 with the Sonny Bono Copyright Term Extension Act, which is why Disney managed to keep the short under its control for nearly a century. But on January 1st, 2024, Steamboat Willie officially entered the public domain. Disney has already shown it will aggressively protect Mickey Mouse through trademark law, even after the copyright expired. Earlier this year, Disney filed a lawsuit against jewelry company Satur, which had released a Mickey 1928 collection. Disney argued that Satur's use of the Steamboat Willie character and branding was deliberately designed to confuse consumers into believing the products were officially licensed. With that case in mind, Morgan & Morgan sought clarification directly from Disney before launching their own campaign. But Disney's refusal to answer left the firm with two options: either risk a lawsuit later or take the battle to court now. They chose the latter. The outcome of Morgan & Morgan versus Disney could reshape how public domain works are used in modern commerce. Specifically, it may help clarify the boundary between public domain freedoms and trademark protections, whether companies can use early versions of iconic characters without fear of legal retaliation, how intellectual property law will adapt to a digital world of memes, content creators, and viral marketing. The case's impact could ripple across industries, from movies, books, and merchandise to YouTube creators and TikTok influencers. For now, the question remains, is the Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse still Disney's prized possession, or is he, as Morgan & Morgan argues, finally, for the people? This case, I think, is going to get a lot of people in trouble. Mainly because trademark law and copyright law are two different things. And I think that if you try and move ahead with this selling merchandise, you are potentially going to run afoul of trademark law and thinking that you have the right to do it because the copyright is expired. But, again, I'm no lawyer. What do you guys think?
Well, for me, I think it was a case also of they basically like asked if they can, and basically Disney was like, "We're not even answering your question." So that tells me that they actually can. So I think Morgan & Morgan have. I think being able to use the character in an ad, like I'm fairly certain if I wanted to use the Wicked Witch of the West in an ad because the Wonderful Wizard of Oz is public domain, I can do that.
Yes, but you might not be able to use the MGM theming on the Wicked Witch of the West.
Well, right, yeah, because that's not you'd have to use a book accurate. Like you couldn't do Dorothy with the ruby slippers. It would have to be like the silver slippers.
Since Disney began using that short clip of Steamboat Willie before all of their movies as their production slate or card, I've thought that was their attempt to keep control of that version of the character by using him as a trademark instead of having him just as a copyrighted character.
Possible.
There's a whole other part of this discussion too, which is, as I see it, the perversion of copyright law in the first place. It was never intended to allow you to continue to extend, to control something in perpetuity. The idea was that you could profit off of your creations for a limited time, but ultimately that it would eventually go into the public domain for the public good. You were not supposed to be able to certainly not extend it beyond your own life. Otherwise, what is the incentive to continue to keep creating? And I think that we've kind of lost the purpose of copyright law in the first place.
I totally agree.
I
I think that. Oh, sorry, Kevin.
Oh, no, go finish your thought. I was just gonna make a joke.
Well, I think that considering stories are reformulations of other stories and real historical events, anytime an author builds something, he's building on the canon of knowledge that we all share. And so in a way, that canon has to continue to grow and develop in order for the next generation of authors. And so allowing things to pass into canon after some reasonable amount of or pass into to
public domain
after some reasonable amount of time makes sense. Now, at the same time, people deserve to be able to make a living off of their work product. I don't think it's unreasonable to say 15 years, 20 years, something like that, but then treat the characters differently. Like if an original character is created, that character maybe lasts for another 15 years after the author's death as a trademarked or copyrighted entity. And then maybe also carve out another niche where if somebody wants to adapt that character into a new medium, they have to secure the rights from the author or the author's estate.
I think it's definitely something that is due for some type of reform. I think that copyright has been abused. I'm fine with having a longer period. I would go beyond 15 to, I'm willing to even go 30 or 40. But once you're approaching the century mark, this has gotten ridiculous.
Well, I would say 15 is my opening offer.
Do I hear 20?
I could go 20.
All right. Our next story is as Stardust Racer's death investigation continues, a new lawsuit against Universal looms. Also by Ron Bradley. As the investigation into a man's death after riding Stardust Racers at Epic Universe continues, the threat of a new lawsuit against Universal looms in the distance. The family of Kevin Rodriguez Zavala, the 32-year-old man who was found unresponsive after riding Stardust Racers at Epic Universe on Wednesday, September 17, 2025, and later pronounced dead at the hospital, has retained legal counsel and is demanding answers. Attorney Ben Crump, retained by the family, is calling for full transparency from Universal. Crump's firm, Ben Crump Law, issued a statement demanding a thorough investigation into the tragic incident, which the Orange Osceola medical examiner determined resulted from multiple blunt impact injuries. The family is specifically requesting the release of maintenance logs, inspection records, ride data, and video footage. Their goal is to understand the circumstances surrounding Rodriguez Zavala's death and hold all responsible parties accountable. Ben Crump is no stranger to high-profile cases, or to Florida. A graduate of Florida State University, where he earned both his bachelor's and law degrees, Crump is a nationally recognized civil rights and personal injury attorney. He's represented families in some of the most high-profile cases of police brutality and racial injustice in recent history, including those of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. Rodriguez Zavala's family turned to Crump after the medical examiner ruled the cause of death as multiple blunt impact injuries and the manner of death as accidental. Crump's team says their independent investigation suggests that Rodriguez Zavala suffered repeated head injuries during the ride and was unconscious for much of it, citing witness accounts. Several witnesses reported seeing him covered in blood and slumped over in his seat when the ride ended. Rodriguez Zavala did have a pre-existing spinal injury that required him to use a wheelchair and take medication. However, his family emphasizes that he was an experienced theme park visitor with no medical restrictions that should have prevented him from riding Stardust Racers. Universal has stated that the ride was operating normally and that team members were performing their duties correctly at the time of the incident. So far, state investigators have agreed with those findings, though the investigation remains ongoing. In a completely separate incident on the same attraction, Stardust Racers, a new injury lawsuit has been filed against Universal. On Wednesday, September 24th, 2025, just 1 week after Rodriguez Zavala's death, Sandy Street, represented by attorney Nicholas Spetsis, filed a lawsuit in the Ninth Judicial Circuit Court of Florida, which serves Osceola County. According to the complaint, Streets visited Epic Universe on April 30th, 2025 as an invited business guest. While riding Stardust Racers, she alleges her head shook violently and slammed into her seat's headrest, causing permanent injuries. The suit accuses Universal of one count of negligence, citing the ride's lack of head restraints despite its high-speed twists, turns, drops, and flips. Streets is seeking at least $50,000 in damages and has requested a jury trial. The filing states, while riding defendant Stardust Racer's roller coaster, plaintiff's head shook violently and slammed into her seat's headrest throughout the duration of the ride. As a direct and proximate result, defendant Stardust Racer's roller coaster caused plaintiff to sustain permanent injuries. Stardust Racers, one of the flagship attractions of the newly opened Epic Universe, remains closed during the ongoing investigations and may stay that way for the foreseeable future. With one incident resulting in a death and another sparking a lawsuit over alleged permanent injuries, the ride, and by extension the park, faces intense scrutiny. Epic Universe was designed to showcase cutting-edge engineering, theming, and guest experiences, but these incidents raise questions about safety protocols and Universal's ability to keep guests protected at all times. If confidence in guest safety is shaken, Universal could face declines in attendance and revenue at its newest park. The outcome of these investigations and any resulting legal action will likely determine whether the company can restore public trust in both Stardust Racers and the Universal Orlando Resort as a whole. So, this story just sounds weird as heck to me. Because
it gets weirder constantly.
Yeah, that's the sense I've gotten. What I had read about it, and admittedly I haven't read a whole lot, but the fact that the state examiner is also saying that the ride appeared to operate normally, and yet this guy, the first guy, experienced multiple blunt force injury, and from what I understood, it wasn't just his head. It sounded like it was the rest of his body as well.
My running theory is if he lost consciousness while on the attraction, and exactly what Kev's doing, when you can't, like, if your body then goes limp noodle, you're gonna jerk and you're gonna hit and you're gonna, like, that's probably what happened, and that's probably the cause of the blunt. But I mean, I'm just a simple small town bird lawyer. I obviously have no actual information on the case, but if he had lost consciousness, to me that's how blunt force trauma would have happened. It's just your body kind of wet noodles around for it. But they said that the spinal injury had nothing to do with the death.
Well, I think the other part that's curious to me is that, and you would know more about this, you spend a lot more time at the parks and on the rides. Presumably, you're restrained, and I get that if you pass out, you could go limp like you're saying. Are you thinking he was just hitting his head on the headrest?
Possible.
Okay. All right.
Especially if that lady also hit her head on the headrest. Now, I asked my wife, because my wife did this ride, I did not. And she said that she thinks she might have hit her head, once or twice as well on it, but not to the extent that it was anything, crazy. So, yeah, it's a really, really weird case. And I don't know how Stardust Racers will end up being closed for a very long time, I think. Because if it's going to take the length of the investigation, you're probably looking at least 3 to 6 months of one of the premier attractions in this theme park being closed.
And if they're smart, they should, no matter what happens, retool it and put emphasis on on the safety aspect. We had problems like this in the 90s, I think, with Six Flags and especially as they
Action Park.
Action Park's a whole nother disaster in unto itself. But I think it wasn't Viper, but I remember one of the Viper was brutal though. If you
turned Viper was
head, you were stuck like this and had a crick in your neck for probably 2 weeks. But I do remember that there was an issue where one of the rides was so fast that people were getting neck and head injuries from it. So it's not unlikely. But I'm with Marv, where I think something happened. This guy passed out and he just got smashed around. And unfortunately, there was nothing
So
anybody could do.
this kind of raises another question, which is probably a little touchy because you go to a theme park to get thrills and chills and rides, but you're always taking a chance. Nothing is entirely safe. I do have to question, though, are we pushing the limits maybe a little bit to what we should be doing for entertainment? Are we going too far? Maybe too steep a drop, too tight a turn, too much speed? Are we pushing the limits of what we should be doing in some of these attractions?
I think that's the risk, right? As technology improves, your desire to be a little more daring increases. And I'm sure that these companies are not spending as much money as they should on vetting, on vetting the ride. Again, this goes back to what we saw when these rides were first created, right? Ancient stories of the roller coasters flying off the tracks, things like that. So I think this is just kind of recycled for a new era because technology has changed. Things have gotten more efficient. So it's these rides, you have to be bigger, better, and you have to be faster than everybody else. So
yeah, and I don't want to be a killjoy on these things because I know it's like that's why you're going to the park and you are accepting the risk of going. And honestly, as technology improves, you should be able to push the limits a bit. It's just I don't know. A story like this does give me a little bit of pause just because if the guy just passed out, like we're saying, he did have a medical condition. They're saying that the spinal injury wasn't part of it, but who's to say that he maybe wasn't on blood thinners or something that made him more susceptible to passing out?
Well, they said he was on medication for the spinal injury. And look, this is a very important topic we're talking about, but I have to point out something in the chat. Tom F just said that he worked at Action Park.
Oh.
And I think we need to have a full on-panel conversation with him at some point about what that was like.
Well, okay. So
copy and paste that in the back.
Some people in the audience may not know about Action Park. Tell them a little bit about, because even I know a bit about this because there was a documentary that came out a little while ago.
So Action Park was a theme park in Verona, New Jersey, I think, and it was a death trap. Like everybody got injured. If you did not leave Action Park sore, bruised, or bleeding, then you didn't ride anything.
Yeah. Or you're Kryptonian. They had the best commercials though. There was nothing like the Action Park commercials when you were a kid.
No, so it's been called. There is a documentary on HBO Max called Class Action Park, which about it. But I recommend going to Defunct Land and watching the Defunct Land on YouTube. They have a documentary on Action Park that's infinitely better. It's also been called Traction Park. So many people died in the wave pool, they started calling it the grave pool. There was a water slide that literally did a loop-de-loop, and people would just get stuck in it, like an enclosed water slide. And people died. So, did you ever go to Action Park?
Photon Empress popped in. Is that why Lorn disappeared?
Yeah, I think he's changing his hat, probably.
No, I was not allowed. I begged every year. And
me neither. My cousin who lived next door.
I found out why, but
yeah, my cousin who lived next door, he would go, and he got injured at Action Park, so we never went.
I was stuck going to Rye Playland, and let me tell you, the Rolling Thunder or whatever it was called, right? The Rolling Thunder was Six Flags. That coaster,
yeah, Rolling Thunder was Six Flags.
That coaster was so old. Anytime I got to, I swore I was going to fly out of it, and I'm pretty sure I watched it fly off of the tracks a few times.
We used to go to Beaucraft Amusement Park, which was like a little kiddie amusement park when we were like literally little kids. And there's Lauren's hat.
Just for you, Photon Empress. I haven't worn this thing since I haven't seen you in the chat. So here you go.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
We do have.
So, check out the Defunct Land documentary on Action Park, though. It's definitely worth a watch, and we need to get Tom F on a panel and just grill him about Action Park.
Yeah, one thing I'd want to know is how long were you there? It's like I imagine after the first incident you'd start questioning things a little bit, but
Please tell me Tom was the guy that like dug the holes where they threw the bodies. Like,
Well, you know, after the first incident, you question things. After the 12th, you're just kind of used to it.
yeah,
don't ask about the hot dogs. Anthony Vanderwall for $2. Kathleen Kennedy is a Star Wars fan. I don't know what this is in reference to. Did she do something, or
what has she done?
Oh, my favorite Kathleen Kennedy as a Star Wars fan moment was when Leslie Headland, super fan Leslie Headland, approached Kennedy with this super original concept where she was like, well, I came to Kathy and I was like, well, our main character actually thinks of the Jedi as the villains. And Kathy was like, oh my gosh, that is such a like amazing twist. And I'm like, really, guys? Really? So from her point of view, the Jedi are evil? Well, then you are lost.
Maybe we're thinking about this the wrong way. Kathleen Kennedy keeps putting herself in the movies and TV shows.
That's true.
Maybe she's a huge fan. We just don't understand it.
And she really wants to have a British accent.
No, I don't think so. Tennille. Tennille 89 for $5. As a fellow Italian, I'm curious to know how many people got called a stronzo before the night's end.
A lot worse words than that. That I don't know if the YouTube algorithm picks up curses in other languages, so I can't repeat them. There might have been a Mamma Mia at one point.
Jack White for $5. Some game series recommendations. The Dying Light, The Beast, the Devil May Cry series, Persona series, the Trails series, the Wise series, and the Tales series.
The only one of those I've played is Devil May Cry, and I love Devil May Cry.
Jack White for another $2. The Ghost Runner series, the Gravity Rush series. And we got Maravita for $9.99. Allow me to play devil's advocate. We also did not know what all the spinal injury entailed. It could have made him more susceptible to passing out or cause something else that was never diagnosed. Yep,
or as we said, the medication might have done it.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of things that could have happened. It's just, whatever it did happen, it's tragic either way. And Metalcore Breakdown for $1.99. Universal Studios loses this. Furry boat victims are close.
Or watch close, yeah.
Yep.
Well, the ferry boat thing was 110% Disney's fault. Because the person, like, they smashed the ferry boat into the dock and people went flying and a pregnant woman fell on her stomach. So, I mean, they continue to call this an accident. The Stardust Racers thing. The state found that it was an accidental death. So we'll see what the rest of the investigation comes up with.
When it came to the ferry thing, did we ever hear from them what their explanation for why they rammed the dock was?
They have not mentioned it. They have not even acknowledged that it happened.
Okay, that's what I thought.
They have not said a single word about it, Lorn.
Which means they really don't want to say.
They're just writing checks.
Yep.
I don't think they've written anything yet.
And Photon Empress for $99.99. Hat Fund. Lorn knows the drill.
The evil space lady returns.
I do. I've learned. I've learned. I am both for sale and trainable.
Up with the matriarchy.
Don't give Trish that. Don't give her that kind of power. That's not nice.
I would 100% live under the reign of Photon Empress before I lived under the matriarchy of Trish.
All right,
she's already an empress.
What do we got? Bowser to retire from Nintendo at the end of 2025 after controversial Switch launch.
This headline made me happy to write, and that picture made me happy.
Bowser will be leaving Nintendo to retire at the end of 2025. No, not that Bowser. Nintendo of America confirmed this week that Doug Bowser will retire as president at the end of 2025, closing out a 6-year tenure marked by both stability and growing fan frustration.
Yes, guys, the head of Nintendo of America for the last several years was named Bowser.
Bowser's exit. Go ahead.
I personally have not forgiven Nintendo for letting Reggie leave.
Oh, I know. I'll make the comparison when Lorn's done reading the article.
Bowser's exit comes on the heels of the Nintendo Switch 2's rocky rollout, where consumers accused the company of price gouging and pointed to Bowser's tone-deaf remarks about affordability as proof that Nintendo had lost touch with its audience. Bowser will be succeeded by Devin Pritchard, a longtime Nintendo executive currently serving as Executive Vice President of Revenue, Marketing, and Consumer Experience. Bowser stepped into the spotlight in 2019 after the retirement of Reggie Fils-Aimé. Is that how you pronounce it? Did I get that right?
I've only ever called him Reggie.
All right, I'll skip it. Reggie. A beloved fan favorite whose charismatic presence turned him into a pop culture figure in his own right. Compared to Reggie, Bowser took a more corporate, behind-the-scenes approach, rarely appearing in front-facing advertisements or quirky marketing moments. That absence was noted by fans. Reggie's bold, meme-worthy, fan-friendly style of leadership set a high bar, and Bowser's quieter approach often felt like Nintendo of America had lost a piece of its personality. The Switch 2 was meant to be Bowser's defining moment, the console that would carry Nintendo into its next generation. Instead, it became a flashpoint for criticism. The console itself launched with a significantly higher price point than fans expected. Flagship games like Mario Kart World also came in at $80, a historic first for Nintendo exclusives. Bowser defended the strategy as variable pricing, saying development scope and replayability justified higher costs, but the defense backfired. When Bowser told CBC that consumers who couldn't afford a Switch 2 could simply stick with the original console, fans compared the remark to infamous corporate PR missteps like Don Metric's Xbox comments. Outlets from the Washington Post to Player One labeled the remark tone-deaf, and social media pushed back hard. Was Doug Bowser truly unpopular? The answer is complicated. He wasn't universally despised, but pricing and PR missteps turned him into a recent lightning rod for criticism. Hardcore fans often contrasted him unfavorably with Reggie, saying Nintendo had lost its fan-friendly face. Jokes about his last name, Bowser, Mario's nemesis, never stopped, though these were often more playful than mean-spirited. Ultimately, Bowser's presidency was seen as steady but uninspiring, competent in corporate execution, lacking in fan-building charm. Bowser's successor, Devin Pritchard, who has been with Nintendo since 2003 and has already served as interim president in the past. Known internally for a strong financial acumen and focus on consumer experience, Pritchard is expected to bring a more engaged and communicative leadership style to the role. Her challenge will be clear. Win back consumer trust at a time when Nintendo faces mounting skepticism over pricing and accessibility. Fans are hungry not only for great games, but also for leadership that feels connected to the community. If Pritchard can reintroduce a sense of personality and fan-first philosophy, she may succeed in reclaiming the goodwill that Bowser struggled to capture. Doug Bowser's retirement closes a chapter in Nintendo of America's history. His era will be remembered less for bold public engagement and more for the controversy surrounding the Switch 2's debut. As Devin Pritchard steps in, all eyes will be on whether she can bring Nintendo's North American leadership back into sync with fans, and whether she can steer the company through an increasingly competitive and consumer-sensitive gaming market. So you go off on this, Marvin, because you did all the research on it.
Yeah, I mean, Doug, so it's funny, I actually wrote about Doug Bowser when he first took over, and I thought it was so funny that his name was Bowser when he first took over for Reggie. But I've always likened the move from Reggie to Bowser as being like moving from Michael Eisner to Bob Iger at the Disney company. Michael Eisner was a front-facing CEO. He was introducing the wonderful world of Disney on ABC. He was doing all of the presentations and whatnot. Bob Iger never did any of that stuff. Bob Iger was more of a silent behind-the-scenes kind of guy. And that's pretty much what Doug Bowser was. And the problem, nobody really had issues with Doug Bowser from what I understand until the Switch 2 came out, and he fumbled the ball magnificently with his response to it. Where basically he was just like, well, you all still have, basically he said, you all still have a Switch 1, go play that. And,
Yeah,
which then they raised the price of the Switch 1.
they become so predatory in their pricing and in their controls, how much they fight emulation on other platforms. They're just not looking consumer friendly at all. But one of the questions that I have,
not to mention the lawsuit they brought against Pal World, because they own the trademark on trapping monsters in spherical objects.
No one has ever trapped a monster before, let alone in a ball. You're infringing on our territory.
I saw a meme today that was like, it was the thing of the guy who's like rubbing his hands together, and it's like Nintendo about to sue the Earth for having mushrooms.
One of the things that I'm curious about with this, though, is that we're talking about the president of Nintendo of America. Most of these decisions are made back in Japan at corporate headquarters. So how much does Nintendo of America corporate leadership really have to do with setting the direction of the company?
Well, I think it's more about the response.
The PR battle, how he presents himself at a marketing standpoint.
I think everybody was angry at Nintendo, the company, going all the way back to Japan with it. But Bowser's response was so tone deaf with the, well, just go play your Switch 1, that he suddenly became the lightning rod for it.
Yeah, I think everybody got, because Reggie was an anomaly. I think Reggie was probably one of the first Nintendo America executives to actually have a little bit of sway with what happened on the Nintendo Japan side. I mean, you can even go back to old issues of Nintendo Power to see how little impact Nintendo of America actually had on anything, coming from Nintendo proper. So I think we got a little spoiled in that regard. But, especially after Mr. Iwata passes away, you start seeing these, Nintendo just kind of gets really cold. And Bowser's response to, fan criticism or concern, like Marv said, it was tone deaf. And he's already kind of taking a shellacking for not being Reggie. So it made him the de facto villain of the situation.
But there's not really a face of the Japanese wing of Nintendo the way that Doug Bowser is here, or at least not that casual gamers would identify. The person that people most identify with Nintendo is Shigeru Miyamoto, who is at this point a mascot more than anything. I don't think he's actually making decisions anymore. But I mean, Miyamoto is he's the Walt Disney of video games. I think Jonas has said that repeatedly. But yeah, it just was not a good response at all. Nintendo knows that every kid in the world has a Switch, and so every kid in the world is going to have a Switch too, and they just got real predatory about it. And this is a system with the equivalent power of a PlayStation 4.
But the thing is, and this is why I think they still have a problem. You can change the corporate leadership, you can try and change the marketing and the PR spin, but you still got to sell these units. And they're being so predatory in the pricing with both the games and the hardware. And in a world where the Steam Deck and other handhelds now exist in the space, I don't know that you've still got that lock, because you get a better value with other systems.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you think Nintendo addresses that?
I think at this point it's the Nintendo name. It's just it's like having an iPad where maybe other companies, have better software or hardware than the iPad, but it's the Apple name that keeps bringing people back even after Steve Jobs has been gone for so long. I think it's at this point it's just people, and the thing that Nintendo has that even things like Steam Deck can never have is the first party Nintendo games. They don't share. Nintendo does not share its toys, and
emulation is still a thing, especially on the Steam Deck.
Well, yes, but if Nintendo catches you, your butt is grass. I mean, it's.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut off whoever was talking. I think the other thing that Nintendo used to do very well, and we saw this pay dividends for them with the original Wii, was that Nintendo used to be priced with the idea that the family is going to have two systems. Whether it's going to be an Xbox or a PlayStation, you're going to get the Nintendo. And now they decided to position themselves in a space where now you're going to have to choose. Or you look at the the Game Boy Advance all the way up into whatever it is we have now. Those were designed to be replaced. We know kids own this, and we know kids smash things, even the ones who do a really good do a good job of taking care of it. So we're going to give you 1,000 colors, so you don't feel like you're buying the same thing over again. And we know that you're probably going to need to replace it. And if it does survive, hey, guess what? The brand new one is going to come out soon, so you're going to want to buy that too. And now we kind of find ourselves in a place that we haven't really been in with Nintendo. They've decided to out Sony.
Yep. Martin, do you have any thoughts on this, or should we move on to the next one?
You guys have covered it, and I've kind of been out of all the back end stuff with video games for a long time.
Okay.
Well, the other thing you mentioned, emulators. I think emulators were great for people in their 20s or their late teens, but an 8-year-old is not using an emulator, I don't think.
Yeah, but
My boys are interested in classic gaming, though. The stuff that you really can't get on any of the native stores with the big providers.
And I think a big reason that the AAA space is hurting so much now is they got so predatory. They thought that they could raise the price of first-party titles by $20. And in this economy, nobody's paying that kind of money. It's the same argument you have with all the streaming services and piracy. Once you decide that you're going to nickel and dime for everything, you are begging piracy to come back. That's not a condonement of it, but it's the natural effect of what happens when people don't have the discretionary income to spend. I just think they're crazy. If they want these things to be successful, they've got to lower the prices.
Yeah, I mean, look, we also had when the PlayStation 3 originally rolled out, and it was $600, and they got laughed at on the E3 stage by everybody. Eventually, it came down to $300. So it all depends on how the sales go.
Yep. All right, we got a few more super chats to get to. We've got Jack White for 10. Some series recommendations: The Rascal Does Not Dream series. Yu Yu Hakusho.
Good show.
Okay. All right. Do you want to read these? Because you might know them better.
Dragon Ball. Yes. One Piece. Full Metal Alchemist. Brotherhood. Bleach. Demon Slayer. My Hero Academia. Absolutely. Rurouni Kenshin. Heck yeah. Rurouni Kenshin 2023. World Trigger.
And we got Metalcore Breakdown for $1.99. Ferry boat victims gonna hire Crump 100%.
Oh, yeah.
And XJ Cherokee Bear for $5. Be thankful that Nintendo's new CEO is not a blonde woman with glasses.
Well, she is a white blonde woman, but yeah.
But if she's got those big Sally Jesse Raphael glasses, watch out. Jack White for another $5. You got to hit this one, Marvin.
Oh, Our Last Crusade or The Rise of a New World. Why does nobody remember me in this world? Wisteria Wand and Sword. Be Stronger New Saga and Bungo Stray Dogs.
Oh, those all different titles. I thought that was just a giant.
Black
monster.
Clover, Fairy Tale, Eden Zero, God's Games We Play. When do you have time to watch all this, Jack White? Full Metal Panic, Berserk of the Gluttony, Astra Lost in Space, Classroom of the Elite, Code
Yes?
Yes. Gachiakuda, Death Note, The Kingdoms of Ruin.
Gachiakuda. I got you.
And that was, jeez, Kevin.
What I was saying before, Kev, was I've been watching. I've been trying to send them to you. There are these videos of these. I don't remember the name of the channel off the top of my head, but it's these two black guys that are sitting there watching.
I watch it every day.
It's phenomenal. They give you a blow by blow of every DBZ fight, and it is the funniest commentary.
But by the way,
this bleep power up so hard the solar system shake.
Oh, the Ginyu, when they break down the Ginyu Force fight.
Yes, it's perfect.
Thank you for calling this out, guys. I forgot to do this, and that was a terrible thing of me to do for Photon Empress's massive donation. Here we go. And you know what? I'm actually going to do it twice because not only was that an amazing donation, and it's good to see her back in the chat, but also because this lady launches starships.
When is the next big launch? There's supposed to be one coming up, right?
I'd ask her out there in the chat, but I mean, can I just point out how awesome it is that we actually have a real person who launches starships in our chat? We're just dinguses who talk in front of a webcam. And we got a certified genius who throws giant hunks of metal up beyond our atmosphere, and then they come back. So I just want to say
Photon Empress is a fascinating lady. Like I've had a full conversation with her, and it just we discussed all like what we were having the conversations about last night on Toonie Talk about like alien life and stuff like that. Like that we've had great conversations about stuff like that. So,
did you guys talk about that rock that landed that has a life growing out of it? My wife mentioned something about it. I have
What?
Wait, the symbiote has landed on.
So apparently, some kind of rock fell from space in this guy's backyard, and he wanted to keep it. And then some strange little plant grew out of it, and I'm like, first of all,
did it start saying "feed me"?
Yeah. I was like, first of all, no. I've seen this movie entirely too many times.
No.
If you can't kill it with fire, try to freeze it and then move.
Well, if it's like evolution, then you use Head and Shoulders shampoo.
Yeah, it's an undervalued movie.
I want to know more about this story because I had not heard about this. When did this break?
She told me about it a couple days ago. I know there's no way she's awake right now.
Well, there was like that one thing where like it looked like the space dumpster from Power Rangers like washed up on some beach, and everybody was like, "Do not open it."
So
the last thing we need is her running around up here with all her shenanigans.
You said this. It's a plant.
Yeah, that was during the dark side.
Yeah.
I want to know more about this because it's weird. You got to read this story, Marvin, because this is an editorial penned by you. So I'm going to let you do it.
Oh, sure. My favorite. Nate Bargatze accidentally shamed Hollywood at the Emmys with charity gag, and that's a good thing. Hollywood celebrities love charity until it costs them something that goes beyond their abundant money. This was proven at the 2025 Emmys when a gag by comedian Nate Bargatze exposed the selfishness of Hollywood celebrities who siphoned $100,000 away from a children's charity with their long-winded and self-indulgent acceptance speeches. If you ever need a reminder that Hollywood's virtue signaling is more about performance than principle, look no further than the 2025 Emmys. Host Nate Bargatze set up what should have been a simple feel-good bit. Keep your speech under 45 seconds and more money goes to the Boys and Girls Club of America. Go long and dollars get deducted. In theory, this was supposed to reward humility and self-awareness. Instead, it revealed something far darker. When given the choice between kids in need and their egos, celebrities picked themselves and will continue to do so every single time. The rules of the game, where Bargatze stated, started the Emmys by pledging $100,000 to the charity. Each second that the Emmy winner's speech came in under the 45-second limit would add $1,000. Each second over would subtract that same amount. Simple, right? Well, Hollywood doesn't do simple. One star after another blew past the limit with long-winded speeches. The running tally slipped deeper and deeper into the red, reaching as low as negative $60,000 by the end of the night, according to some outlets.
I had no idea it got that low.
Oh, yeah. The only reason the charity didn't walk away shortchanged was because Bargatze stepped in himself, donating $250,000 out of his own pocket. CBS then threw in another $100,000, bringing the total to $350,000. The celebrities, they gave nothing except hot air. So on his podcast after the event, Bargatze insisted the whole thing wasn't designed to embarrass anyone. Wasn't trying to overshadow any of their speeches or shame anybody, he insisted. I was just meant to be a fun way to raise awareness. I think he meant to embarrass them. That may have been his intention, but intentions don't matter here. The reality is the stunt absolutely did shame them, and frankly, it's about time someone did. Think about what we saw. Actors and actresses who make millions of dollars couldn't trim their speeches by 20 or 30 seconds. They chose to talk about themselves or in many cases rail against political foes rather than let money flow to a charity that helps kids. This is the same group of people that endlessly preaches compassion and tells middle America to give more, sacrifice more, and live up to their moral example. Yet when faced with the tiniest of personal costs, less stage time, they chose themselves. It was narcissism in its purest form, broadcast live for everyone to see. And the one person who walked away looking good was Nate Bargatze himself. He is a stand-up comedian, the so-called everyman of the Emmys, who ended up putting up real money on the line while the pampered stars refused to give up their spotlight. Hollywood lives to pretend. Bargatze gave up $250,000 for real kids. Who deserves more respect? Bargatze may not have intended to shame anyone, but the beauty of the bit is that it revealed the truth. It wasn't Hollywood's shining moment. It was a mirror held up to a culture obsessed with its own reflection. And let's be clear, the Boys and Girls Club still walked away winners. They got the money and they got the visibility. The losers were the actors who exposed themselves as selfish, hollow, and incapable of living up to their own rhetoric. Nate Bargatze's Emmy stunt backfired in the best way possible. Instead of elevating Hollywood, it stripped away the mask. For all the speeches about generosity and causes, these stars couldn't spare a few seconds for children in need. Maybe next year, instead of telling America how to live, Hollywood should just try living by its own standards, and maybe, just maybe, they can learn to keep it under 45 seconds. Yeah,
So
I was fired up on this one.
well, I knew you would enjoy reading this. The funny thing about this to me is I know that Nate said afterwards that he didn't intend to donate $250,000, but
Yeah.
here's the thing that is even more impressive to me. Besides the fact that he made this very public demonstration and caused all of these people to out themselves, he donated $250,000. CBS, the corporate entity, only donated $100,000.
Oh, yeah.
He more than doubled their contribution. That to me is almost bigger than what the actors did.
They got to save up to buy Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
I guess.
Unless Netflix beats them to it and brings back the Snyderverse.
Can we stop? I saw someone post this long diatribe on Twitter about Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I'm like, listen. I am someone who can defend the intent, but at some point in time, you've got to just accept that it didn't work out. Part of the reason is that it's called Zack Snyder's Justice League, and that.
Well, and I love that the people that are pushing for this are like, well, he already works for Netflix, so they'll just give him DC. And I'm like, guys, he works for Netflix, and he has delivered bomb after. He has created more bombs than Stark Enterprises for Netflix.
What is he? He's what 2 and 4, 2 and 5,
something like that.
That cartoon did okay, and the first zombie movie, which is entirely too long. It's entirely too long. But it's like, all right, like it's.
What was the cartoon?
Oh, it's some Asgardian themed cartoon.
No,
okay. If you watch it, I watched like the first 20 minutes of it. It was pretty interesting, but it's not for kids. You can't watch it with kids in the house, and I always have a child in the house. So,
but speaking of self-indulgence, back to the Emmys, it was a disgusting display. Like that one lady who won for best comedy felt like it was more important to rail against Israel than it was to donate to kids in need.
All right, so here's another question, though. Do you think Nate Bargatze comes back next year?
I hope so. He was a good host, and the numbers went up this year. So he is Nate Bargatze's great. He's a conservative comedian. He's his act is completely clean and family friendly, and it's so self-deprecating. And there's a charm about self-deprecating humor. I love Nate Bargatze's humor. I could listen to his stuff for hours and always laugh. So I really hope they do bring him back. It's just, I think he's just trying to play nice with Hollywood now. That's why he was like, oh, I didn't mean to, shame anyone. And I'm like, no, you did, and you did a good job of it, man.
Yeah, man donated to a good cause. So yeah, I'm with you. I hope they bring him back, but I have a hard time believing that Hollywood will let him come back after the stunt.
Lord, you got to put up what Photon Empress just said.
Emmys are 100% political. I have two, for real, and we submitted for another. Was told in no uncertain terms that because of certain people, we were not eligible. Maybe next year.
I wonder who those certain people might be.
I wonder why.
I'm sorry, that's my bad.
Oh.
Next up, we've got Sinclair caving to Disney, and actually, I heard after the fact that Nexstar has joined them.
Yeah, that's dropping. That's dropping in the morning. That Nexstar has caved.
Puts Jimmy Kimmel back on the air after compromise demands ignored. For weeks, the battle between ABC affiliates and Disney over Jimmy Kimmel Live has dominated the media landscape. Today, that standoff cracked. Sinclair Broadcasting, one of the largest owners of ABC affiliate stations in the United States, has reversed course and returned Kimmel to the airwaves. Nexstar now remains the sole affiliate group still refusing to air the show. Well,
Not anymore.
in a lengthy press release, Sinclair painted their move as a reluctant concession rather than a change of heart. They framed their original decision as one of responsibility and community service, not censorship. While we understand that not everyone will agree with our decisions about programming, it is simply inconsistent to champion free speech while demanding that broadcasters air specific content, they said. Our objective throughout this process has been to ensure that programming remains accurate and engaging for the widest possible audience. We take seriously our responsibility as local broadcasters to provide programming that serves the interests of our communities, while also honoring our obligations to air national network programming. My question about that is that if your objective was to ensure that the programming remained accurate and engaging, did he retract the statement that got him in trouble?
He did not.
Did not.
Sinclair emphasized that they had proposed measures to ABC and Disney to create accountability and dialogue, including the creation of an independent ombudsman to oversee network programming. Those measures, however, were dismissed or outright ignored by Disney. In the end, Sinclair folded, acknowledging that under affiliate agreements, Disney and ABC had the final word. Our decision to preempt this program was independent of any government interaction or influence, they continued. Free speech provides broadcasters with the right to exercise judgment as to the content on their local stations. The company also noted that violent incidents, including the shooting at an ABC affiliate station in Sacramento, demonstrated the importance of responsible broadcasting and respectful dialogue between differing voices. However, Kimmel and Disney have not agreed to such a respectful dialogue. Sinclair simply conceded, and nothing has changed. One of the most striking elements of this reversal is how little Jimmy Kimmel himself has had to do. Sinclair had reportedly demanded 2 clear acts of accountability: that Kimmel issue a public apology for his inflammatory comments, and that he make a financial contribution to Turning Point USA and the family of Charlie Kirk. Kimmel has done neither. Despite the demands, Disney and ABC stood firmly behind their late-night host. Kimmel never apologized, never offered restitution, and never showed remorse for remarks that sparked one of the most heated affiliate rebellions in modern broadcast history. He simply claimed people misunderstood his comment, and then talked about threats that he himself has faced. He's done nothing to turn down the rhetoric on one-sided political rhetoric. In fact, since returning to the air, Kimmel has doubled down, launching fresh partisan rants against conservatives and taking repeated shots at President Trump. In the end, Sinclair folded. Their carefully crafted compromise proposals, including accountability mechanisms, community dialogue, and even direct financial restitution, were ignored. Kimmel gave up nothing. Sinclair caved. Disney got exactly what it wanted. The takeaway here is simple. Disney ignored every compromise Sinclair put forward and flexed its corporate muscle to ensure Kimmel returned. Sinclair bowed out of the fight rather than escalate further. The irony? Disney's public defenders frequently argue that criticism of Kimmel amounts to censorship, yet Sinclair's statements highlights the contradiction. Broadcasters are expected to champion free speech, while being forced to air a highly partisan show, whether it resonates with their local communities or not. And I'm not going to read the next section because it no longer holds true.
Yeah, so Nexstar has folded as well. It was It was disappointing, to say the least, because Kimmel and Disney conceded nothing. absolutely nothing. Megyn Kelly has a phenomenal takedown of Jimmy Kimmel's return monologue where he cries and he talks about Erica Kirk and forgiveness. And she's like, he's talking about forgiveness and Erica Kirk because he wants people to forgive him. It's all about him. And like on the surface, it's easy to almost be fooled into thinking that maybe he said something selfless throughout the course of that. It's not. Every word is self-serving. Never was the words "I apologize" ever put forward. He doesn't say the words "I'm sorry" until he's doing a bad scripted bit with with Alf, Robert De Niro.
Here's the thing though. I don't think it mattered. No one bought it. As a matter of fact, I think it irritated more people than anything. I've seen a lot of feedback on how, specifically about the crocodile tears that he drops every single time something happens. So outside of what probably another week of elevated ratings because people were curious what they were going to see, it's already back to more of the same. It's already more celebrities, self-congratulating. It's people are frustrated. People are tired of it. Like the veneer has been cracked. We've seen just how ugly these people can get, and a lot more people do not want this in their lives. As a matter of fact, I think if anything, all it's really done is driven more people to seek out stuff that Kirk has said in the past. So it's fine. You didn't get the win you wanted, but at the end of the day, the long play is really what we need to be looking for. Sinclair and Nexstar, what were they going to do? They had no real muscle with it.
I am shocked they cracked this early because I thought they'd let it go at least a couple of weeks. They were making a principled stand for the people that actually do consume their content, and they have power in those numbers. Now, I think I had originally said that between Sinclair and Nexstar that they covered about 30% of the viewing audience. I read elsewhere that it was actually closer to 22, so I guess you'd have to adjust that downward a bit. But whatever the actual number was, it was not something that could be easily ignored. And so unless advertisers started threatening them directly as the affiliate stations, I'm surprised they cracked. What do you guys think?
That's what I think is what happened here. I think that Disney started leaning on some folks, and the calls came in and just kind of turned into is it really worth fighting this fight at the moment? We know the guy's gone in a couple of months. That's all but done.
The thing is, if you're carrying this content as an affiliate station, it's like you're covering a certain market. Where else are they going to go?
There's a big thing here we're not discussing. So we have a article coming out at 7:30 in the morning from Pro about a rumor that's going around that Bob Iger threatened to pull Monday Night Football from the affiliates if they didn't put Jimmy Kimmel back on.
I was going to say there's got to be something.
Yeah, that's the rumor. It's not verified. But the big rumor going around the entertainment sphere is that Iger threatened to pull Monday Night Football.
I probably shouldn't have forced that out. I'm sorry. That should have been a big deal tomorrow morning.
Oh no, it's not like nobody knows about it. Like everybody's talking about it right now. We just had enough content today, and I asked Pro if we could hold that one to tomorrow morning.
It's fascinating. I know it's going to sound like a crazy person, but I would have said do it. Because I think it would have made a bigger media mess for Iger. It would have blown up the censorship thing right in their face. It would have sent them right back at them. So, yeah, you're going to have some people pissed that they don't get Monday Night Football, but hey, it's not our fault you don't have Monday Night Football. Go talk to these guys over here.
Yep.
Go send them your ire. And then force Bob Iger to have to get in front of a hot mic, which we know he can't handle.
So it sounds like his ratings have already dropped back down to where they were before. So where do we think this ultimately goes?
It's not quite down to where they were before yet, but they're getting there. He's seen this is another article that I got coming out in the morning. They've dropped 70% in the last 3 days. So he came back to a big roar, and CNN was like, he's done it. he's done it. He's back on top. And they started like talking about the YouTube numbers and all this stuff. But it's back down into like the low 2 millions now. Which again, for a network, they're like, oh, that was because of the affiliates. I'm like, no, it's not because of the affiliates. Now that the affiliates are back, maybe you'll see a little bump. I personally don't think that's going to happen. I think he's going to be right back down into the 1 million something range. I think the key demo is going to be back down into the 100,000 range like it was. He's going to fall right back off. I have a friend who's like a crazed liberal, was talking to me about all this, and I said, answer me this. Did you ever watch Jimmy Kimmel before he was pulled off the air? And if he comes back, will you? And she admitted no to both.
So do you think he makes it through his contract ending in August of next year?
Yes.
Or does he drop earlier?
I think he'll be on the air till then. I think that I think now what he has is a far stronger position where now he can say, I have chosen to not re-sign after all of this happened because I'm going to go my own way and do my own thing in the name of free speech. And I'm going to go new media. I think that's what's going to happen. And because now it's going to seem like, oh, well, the contract didn't end because no one watched him the way it was always going to. It's the contract ended because, you know, he decided it was time to go because of all this stuff.
All right. We got a few more super chats to get to. You're going to have to read some of these, Marvin, because there's still Jack White, and I can't pronounce some of this stuff.
Do my best.
Jack White for 10.
Sagopass, Cowboy Bebop, Kill the Kill, Hunter x Hunter, Hell's Paradise, Gintama, Eureka 7, Blue Exorcist, Liar Liar, Seraph of the End, Solo Leveling, Tonikawa Over the Moon for You, King's Raid, and Guyver.
And for another 10.
Are we summoning a kaiju?
Hell yes, sometimes hides her feelings in Russian, Sword of the Demon Hunter, Shaman King, I'm getting married to a girl I hate in my class, More Than a Married Couple But Not Lovers, 365 Day to the Wedding.
And Jack White for 20.
Relife, Remake Our Life, The Devil is a Part-Timer, A Certain Magical Index, A Certain Scientific Railgun, A Certain Scientific Accelerator, Reign of the Seven Spellblades, A Returner's Magic Should Be Special, Tugin Anki.
You know, there's something pretty clever about just coming up with a theme of a certain thing and telling a story about it. I got some mad respect for whoever came up with that idea.
Jack White, can you just get us a sponsor from Crunchyroll at this point?
Yeah, seriously. You're
Sean,
clearly getting the most out of that membership, brother.
Sean, the artist formerly known as John, for $1.99. You guys are fascinating, and Photon Empress has a YouTube. Not sure what the extraneous C is for, but
Channel?
Oh, sure, YouTube channel. There you go. Michael Steele for $2 Canadian. This week's Monday Night Football games are going to suck. No threat.
Well, it's on ESPN anyway, so how much damage would this have really done?
Sean, the artist formerly known as John, for another $1.99. Sorry, I had to lie to make that last super chat. You all stink.
Well done. Long game. Love a long
in
play.
character. In character. Next up, we got Avengers Doomsday wraps filming, but was the script finished?
What?
And this is by, I think this is by Bookstore Thor.
Yes, Bookstore Thor, Trevor Denning.
All right, this is awesome.
Great addition to what is very quickly becoming the best news team in pop culture right now. Yep. I mean, with Trevor, with Ron, with Cham, I mean, we have got a stellar newsroom right now, and I am super proud of my team.
Yep, I think this is the first article that I've read by him. So, welcome to the team, Bookstore Thor.
And Forrest Manis also. I almost forgot him. My wunderkind, Forrest Manis. He does an amazing job as well.
Awesome. All right, here we go. Boy, doesn't he look happy. Avengers Doomsday has wrapped its UK production. While Disney and the Russo brothers haven't made an official announcement, The Hollywood Reporter said that principal photography finished on September 19th. But true to the Marvel method, Kevin Feige and the Russo brothers will be tinkering as they prepare for a healthy dose of additional photography down the road. So, is this actual cast, or is this behind-the-scenes crew?
Is this them praying for a script?
That's got to be Crew, I think. A few days earlier, Disney released their first official summary of Avengers Doomsday, which still leaves plenty of room for story tweaks. Dr. Doom has officially arrived in the MCU, it reads. This villain, a master of cutting-edge science and powerful magic, will unleash a cascading crisis across the entire multiverse. Looks a little happier there. However, given rumors that the script was still being written as cameras were rolling, there's wide speculation that Feige and the Russo brothers don't have a clearly defined vision. Marvel announced that production on Avengers Doomsday began on March 25th of this year. They added that the cast features Chris Hemsworth, Vanessa Kirby, Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan, Letitia Wright, Paul Rudd, Wyatt Russell, Tinoch Huerta Mejia, Eben Moss-Bachrach, Simu Liu, your favorite person, Marvin, Florence Pugh, Kelsey Grammer, Louis Pullman, Danny Ramirez, Joseph Quinn, David Harbour, Winston Duke, Hannah John Kamen, Tom Hiddleston, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Alan Cumming, Rebecca Romijn, James Marsden, Channing Tatum, Pedro Pascal, and Robert Downey Jr. Anthony and Joe Russo, with 4 Marvel movies under their belts, were back to direct a screenplay by Stephen McFeely. The first signs of trouble may have surfaced in May when Alan Cumming, who is returning as Nightcrawler, mentioned in an interview that while working on fight choreography, he didn't know who he was punching. They said, "You're hitting Pedro Pascal against the head," or something. Given the ongoing joke that Pascal is everywhere, the comment might be interpreted as meaning Nightcrawler's opponent could be anyone. By July, uncertainty about whether or not the script was locked started surfacing. In an interview with a Hollywood Reporter, Rebecca Romijn let slip, "I'm not quite sure if Mystique's scenes have all been filmed. They haven't finished writing it."
Just call her Rebecca Romijn.
Have you not heard me talk about
go?
Have you not heard me talk about Colbert?
Okay, so it was intentional.
Around the same time, Feige admitted at a press event, "There's plussing happening every day on the Avengers Doomsday set right now, and it is amazing to watch." He proceeded to add, "Loki creator Michael Waldron is now also working on it." An additional writer coming on board 3 months into filming seems at odds with Feige's claim that a Marvel movie has never started without a complete script. Still, before filming wrapped, the screenplay eventually came together. Recently, Cumming said, "Oh yeah, we eventually saw a script. It took a while. We had a script." Totally. Reshoots, pickups, whatever you want to call them, Avengers Doomsday will doubtlessly need them. The wrap of Avengers Doomsday means that the Russo brothers can start editing together what they've shot and determine if there's anything missing. A CGI superhero film will offer some options that don't require bringing actors back. Still, fans expect to see the faces of their favorite stars, which will require them to step back in front of the camera. But with a December 18th, 2026 deadline, the amount of time Feige and company still have to pull everything together is limited. And given that Doomsday is the lead-up to Avengers Secret Wars, which could mean a combined production budget of at least $2 billion, the Russo brothers will need to get this right.
Yeah, this is a disaster in the making. For the fact that like they finished principal photography after what 5 months of shooting, and everyone is just like, yeah, no, like don't go anywhere because like we're nowhere near done, like because we're gonna have to reshoot the entire movie, as you always do now with Marvel. This movie already has probably a talent budget of $300 million.
So what are they really doing here? They're doing nothing but burning money.
Yeah, that's the Marvel way.
That's the Bob Iger way.
Yeah.
It's not just the Marvel way. We learned it's the Star Wars way too.
Yeah,
with the Acolytes, $250 million.
Spend other people's money.
Mm-hmm.
What if Feige is looking at the way the first 2 Iron Man movies got made and saying to himself, yeah, that's the creative process we need. That where it's loose and things are about to fall apart and then it comes together in the editing.
But it came together because of Jon Favreau.
Right.
They keep pushing back against the people that they're hiring to make the pictures, saying basically you're here to be a name and to run the production, but we're going to tell you what to do and keep your mouth shut.
Well, now DC's doing the same thing.
Do you have for tonight the That Park Place article about James Gunn and the bat suit?
No, I didn't pull that one.
I was just bringing up the same thing, Martin. It's
Wait, hold on. I've been disconnected. So share this with me.
James Gunn is entirely too involved in the Batman process. He's talking about what he wants from the suit. He's talking about what he wants from casting. I'm like, you are not the director of this movie. How much power are you giving the directors, and how much power are you yourself exerting on everything?
What does he want from the bat suit?
I mean, he's talking about like
he doesn't want it to be just combat tactical. He wants it. He says he wants a mystical quality to it. He's talking about bringing back the gold belt, which is good. I'm happy with that. But why should the producer have? Okay, the producer should have a say, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But my point was going to be, I think he and Feige believe this is the era of the producer, who are putting together entire universes that have to play well together, and so they trump the directors on the minutia that directors are supposed to be directing.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think I mentioned in that article, like Christopher Nolan designed that bat suit. Snyder was the one that put together the Ben Affleck bat suit. And Matt Reeves was the one that cobbled together the one in the Batman, the Robert Pattinson suit. I also think the fact that they don't have a director for this yet, because James Gunn insists it's still Andy Muschietti. Andy Muschietti has not said boo about this movie in over a year.
Yeah.
And everyone and their mother, every insider on the planet is like, Andy Muschietti is no longer directing this. And James Gunn's like, no, it's still Andy Muschietti. It's like, no, it's not. We all know that it's not.
Yeah.
Like, stop trying to give the appearance of you having everything under control when you clearly don't.
I think we even looked at his schedule, and we know that there's conflicts now. So it's I am a firm believer that they took a look at the Flash and realized that this wasn't the guy,
as they should have.
But they already made a big stink about saying that it was the guy, so they've been kind of killing time in hopes of praying for a scheduling conflict. I'm like, dude, just to me, it is an absurdity that we don't know who Batman is yet.
Yep. It is the most important casting in the DCU.
Yep.
And here, the thing is, the reason why I'm so upset that James Gunn is involving himself so much is he is the last person that should have a say in anything Batman related. Yeah. Look, you can give him Superman, even though I think he fumbled the ball with that. Peacemaker is an utter disaster. The Squad was an utter disaster. The Creature Commandos was a disaster. You cannot put James Gunn and his infantile sense of humor anywhere near Batman.
Yeah, I don't. And James Gunn, the way he cast, and he said this himself, he casts based off of who he likes seeing on TV. So he casts people from his favorite shows.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we're not even really probably getting the best person for the job. We're getting the, we're oh, can I put maybe laugh? We're getting, we're getting what James Gunn happens to want to see out of his Batman. And it's like, I don't know, dude, it's funny, like for all the right, for the appropriate criticisms of the previous universe, the one thing you have to give Snyder is that he casted extremely well.
Yeah.
With the exception of the Flash.
Yes, absolutely. And the Flash and Lex Luthor. The Snyderverse is filled with people who you say, that was a really good so-and-so. It's just they were in a really bad movie.
There's a lot of wasted talent. Even with Lex, he looked great when he finally shaved his head. I just don't understand this weird desire to want to have the redheaded Lex Luthor running around when that was just a random, we need to attach Lex and Superboy together so that we can sell more comics thing. Like, nobody wants this. I want bald-headed Lex Luthor counting his money.
Early Golden Age Lex was redheaded, curly red hair.
Did you see that they brought Lex Luthor into Peacemaker last night?
I hoid, but I haven't watched a single episode of Peacemaker since I suffered through the first episode.
Yeah,
So they
Peacemaker
brought
doesn't
me-
seem like my kind of show.
They brought him in, and immediately he starts talking about the people in the next cell over from him, butt effing, and like just cursing like a sailor and talking about horrible, just in things Lex Luthor would never say, all because it's James Gunn's sense of humor.
That's it. Yeah, Lex would not do that. Lex would have a prison cell. He would already bought up all the guards. He'd have all the best. He'd have all the best accoutrement a person could ever want. He'd probably be living in a glorified minimum security cell, and he would not be resulting to vulgarities. And if the rough hugs next door were getting to him, the rough hugs next door would be happening on the moon, so he wouldn't be bothered.
That's the thing. Lex Luthor doesn't lower himself to speaking like the commoners. And I understand now why he's saying, "Oh, well, like Peacemaker runs into Man of Steel," because it looks like he's going to be helping Rick Flag, which means that's going to be how he gets out of jail. Ultimately,
there are 4 billion ways. I get it. I'm waiting. What did it finally drop on HBO Max? I'm not even sure. I watched
Superman did, yeah.
I watched the first 5 minutes when I was trying to watch on a friend's rental, and he was too cheap to tell me that his rental was almost up. But I heard about the Lex crying thing, which is something very similar that happens in the original Man of Steel run. But I'm still getting angsty. I have a lot of angst about sitting down and watching this movie.
Lorn liked it.
I did. And I will stand by it. There are things that I don't like about it, but I did enjoy the movie. I still don't think I agree with you. I don't want James Gunn anywhere near Batman, but I liked Superman for what it was, and I'm willing to give him another bite at the apple. So
my 11-year-old liked it. He said it was more. It had more action than other comic book movies, and that was important to him.
I just thought I actually think that Corin Sweat won me over. I thought he did an excellent job as Superman.
So did I.
And
I like him as just like a person too. Just like every interview I see him in, he's very charming. He's very humble. He's just very likable guy who just looks like a big nerd who got is just enjoying the ride of a lifetime and being the greatest superhero of all time. It's just a shame that he's doing so in a universe that's being run by a man with a 13-year-old edgelord sense of humor.
He also doesn't seem to take himself too seriously, which I think is important. You got so many actors with the ego that you can't not see, and this guy just seems like, I'll bet he'd be fun to have lunch with.
Well, I mean, James Gunn's got enough ego for all of them because he's in every single interview. He's in every press junket. He just did a whole thing about how, like, he's like, oh, there's too many anti-heroes out there. And I'm like, you're making a show about Peacemaker. Like everyone in Peacemaker is an anti-hero. And he starts talking about, like, the goodness in humans. And he literally says the line, it's one of the things that I really love about myself.
This is a guy who wanted to make The Authority as one of the first movies. What?
Guys, we got to get to our other topics because we're starting to run low on time and we haven't even gotten to our main topic yet. So I got 2 more stories that I want to do. I want to get through them real quick though.
I said 2 massive lists.
I know, and I didn't have time to get pictures or anything. So this may be a little anticlimactic, but I'm hoping it's still fun. We've got Tom Holland teasing Spider-Man Brand New Day will be a rebirth with inspirations from Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Spider-Man Brand New Day will be a whole new chapter. Tom Holland suggests the film will rebirth the character with inspirations from the iconic variants. One of the things people are most excited for when it comes to Spider-Man Brand New Day is that it seems to be taking the franchise in a brand new direction. For as beloved as they are, fans have long criticized Tom Holland's tenure as Spider-Man as being rather samey, often playing into the same tropes and having him lean on supporting heroes more than his own instincts. Yet it seems that Spider-Man Brand New Day may be a bigger change than even the most optimistic fans expected. Tom Holland recently spoke on the upcoming film with Complex. During the chat, he revealed that the film is less a continuation of his existing Spider-Man saga and more a complete rebirth that takes the character in a new direction. It really feels like we aren't making the fourth movie. We're making the first movie in the next chapter. This is a rebirth. This is something completely new. However, even though Spider-Man Brand New Day will serve as a rebirth for Tom Holland's version of the character, that doesn't mean the first 3 installments of his saga will be forgotten. The actor would go on to explain that his new suit in the film actually incorporates elements from the suits of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, teasing he sees them as brother figures. I'm really glad people are picking up on the homage to Tobey and Andrew's suit. I think the third movie was very much about paying respect to those guys. I really like the idea that he's trying to be like his big brothers, that he looks up to them, and he sees little details on their suits that he thinks are really cool, and now that he's making his own suit and isn't part of this bigger team. Given how Spider-Man Brand New Day seems to be bucking some of the more extreme excesses of the MCU's multiverse saga, it'll be interesting to see how the film incorporates the inspirations from those characters without indulging too far. Though, regardless, it does seem as though Tom Holland is truly excited for this new direction for the character.
You know, Lorn, I heard that just the other day. They asked Tom Holland for his further thoughts on this, and he said, because he was not gloopy.
Be nice. Come on, man. We like Tom.
I know. I like Tom Holland. I like Tom Holland as much as I don't like his girlfriend. But yeah, no, he was concussed, and filming is on hold.
Yep. I hope that they do pull off Spidey just being Spidey. I actually loved his interpretation in the MCU, but they did lean in too much to him being Iron Boy, and I want to see just plain old comic book Peter Parker and see how he does down on his luck in Queens, and just kind of see how it goes.
I was hoping for a more grounded, like Spider-Man versus Kingpin story. Maybe you can involve Daredevil, but now they're like, and the Punisher's in it too. I'm like, that's cool, fine. But then when they're like the Hulk is in it, I'm like, okay, they're going too big.
I'm just like, how do you take John Bernthal's Punisher and put him in a movie?
Oh, I know.
Like, what's he gonna? He's gonna go stop a mugger and start lecturing him, and then the mugger's head's gonna explode, and then Bernthal's gonna be like, "He jaywalked." I'm sorry, he jaywalked. What are we doing?
I was trying to do the voice, but I choked.
I was sitting there and I saw him, so I decided to handle it because I don't got time for you shooting your little webs.
I saw him right there. He was right there, Swebs. He's right there, and I can do it. I'm the one that could do these things because you're not going to do them. No.
Well, maybe the Jackal is going to manipulate him like in the original run.
It's really... Why is this so hard?
I think he's going to be trying to... I think he's going to be trying to kill the Hulk.
I think, like, listen, if the rumors are true and we got a Norman Osborn, after going anywhere to say there was no Oscorp, why is this not just Professor Miles Warren? And just give me something that actually comes from the bloody comic books. There's also a litany of B-list and C-list villains that they could be playing with, from Sticks and Stones, Cardiac, like just people that you can throw into the movie just to keep it a little more interesting. Spider-Man has such a rich side character, supporting cast that it's just the fact that we're stuck with the same 4 people and half of them aren't even from his books. It's a little exhausting.
All right, guys. I do want to get us to read Super Chats and then get to our last story before we get to the main point of this stream tonight. We have lots more from Jack White. Marvin, here you go. Jack White for 20.
Fate Stay Night, Unlimited, Blade Works, a couple of cuckoos. Can you keep a secret? The angel next door spoils me. Rotten our dating story. The experience, you, the inexperienced me. Private tutor to the Duke's daughter.
I'm going to insert an awkward pause just to make it hard for you to remember where to pick up. Jack White for another 5.
Mobile Suit Gundam 0083, Stardust Memory, Zeta Gundam, ZZ Gundam, tries counterattack, Gundam Wing, Gundam 00, Mobile Fighter G Gundam.
Jack White for
If I
5.
walk outside and there's a giant portal in the sky, I would be really upset.
86, Unnamed Memory, the Cafe Terrace and its goddesses, the Asterisk War, and maybe that's the end of it.
Nope. Jack White for another 5.
Manga series recommendations. The Revenge of My Youth, Berserk, Gantz, Rave Master, Dead Rock, World's End Harem, Ten Puru, No One Can Live on Loneliness, Magi.
So that was it from Jack White. So we got caught up with that. We have a message from Sin, a member for 2 months. Smash the like. And then we have another one. Sean, the artist formerly known as John, for $1.99. I want the Batman suit from 4, 1997. You know why.
Skates?
Yeah, we know why.
Nipples and ice skates.
I was doing the Nations of the World that's sung by Yakko Warner.
I know it was a mighty attempt. I appreciate you.
I can do part of it. United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru, Republic Dominican, Cuba, Caribbean, Greenland, El Salvador 2, Puerto Rico, Colombia, Venezuela, Honduras, Guyana, and still Guatemala, Bolivia, then Argentina, and Ecuador, Chile, Brazil. That's as far as I can go.
That's pretty good. All right. We actually have kind of a feel-good story in a way. I think it's inspirational, at least. From grief to grace, Erica Kirk inspires Tim Allen to forgive father's killer after decades of pain. In a world so often marked by bitterness and division, the power of forgiveness can still shine through as a rare and transformational act. This week, Erica Kirk and her words of grace at her late husband's memorial service reached far beyond the stadium where she spoke, touching the heart of beloved actor Tim Allen and leading him to a moment of healing he has carried for more than 6 decades. On September 21st, 2025, thousands gathered at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, to honor the life of Charlie Kirk. It was there that Erica Kirk, standing before a grieving crowd, chose not anger or vengeance, but forgiveness. Drawing from her Christian faith, she addressed the accused killer of her husband with words few could muster under such circumstances. Our Savior said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do," she said. That young man, I forgive him. I forgive him because it was what Christ did, and it's what Charlie would do. She explained her choice in the context of the gospel, reminding the audience that Christ himself called on his followers to forgive their enemies. The answer to hate is not hate, she said. The answer we know from the gospel is love and always love. Love for our enemies and love for those who persecute us. It was a moment of profound testimony, one that pastors and faith leaders across the nation have already praised as an act of courage and conviction. For Erica, it was also deeply personal, an assurance that her husband's death would not lead to more destruction, but to a testimony of God's grace. Among those moved by Erica's words was Hollywood actor and comedian Tim Allen, known for Home Improvement, Last Man Standing, and as the voice of Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story. In a heartfelt post on X, Allen opened up about a burden he had carried since childhood. When Erica Kirk spoke the words on the man who killed her husband, that man, that young man, I forgive him, that moment deeply affected me. I've struggled for over 60 years to forgive the man who killed my dad. I will say those words now as I type. I forgive the man who, and I don't know if this will take me
The
out.
quotes below. The full quotes below.
Good. I will forgive the man who killed my father. Peace be with you all. Allen's father, Gerald M. Dick, was tragically killed in a car accident in 1964 when Tim was just 11 years old. The crash involved a drunk driver in snowy conditions and left a permanent mark on the young boy's life. After his father's death, Allen's family relocated from Colorado to Michigan, and the loss shaped his complicated relationship with faith and forgiveness. In interviews over the years, Allen admitted to wrestling with God after his father's passing, questioning prayer and meaning in the wake of tragedy. It is only now, inspired by Erica Kirk's public act of grace, that he has been able to publicly let go of the pain and extend forgiveness to the man responsible for his father's death. The intersection of these two stories, the widow of a slain husband forgiving her enemy, and a son forgiving the man who shattered his family over 60 years ago, reminds us of the power to heal even the deepest emotional wounds. Erica's act of forgiveness did not remain within the walls of the stadium. It resonated across the country, inspiring millions who watched her testimony and directly touching the heart of a Hollywood star still grappling with childhood trauma. At a time when bitterness seems to dominate headlines, these acts of grace offer a glimpse of what forgiveness can truly accomplish. They don't erase the pain of loss, but they lift the unbearable weight of hatred, replacing it with peace. Erica Kirk's words remind us that forgiveness is not weakness, it's strength. It's a choice that breaks cycles of anger and despair. For Tim Allen, it was the final nudge that allowed him to release a lifelong struggle and embrace peace. And in both their testimonies, there is a message for all of us. Forgiveness is possible, no matter how impossible it may feel. As Allen concluded in his own message of reconciliation, peace be with you all.
Oh, we lost Lorn.
Oh, nope, wait, hold on. Lorn's gone? What happened to Lorn?
I don't know.
What a poignant way to sign off, though. So beautiful ending.
Here's my message of inspiration for you all. Goodbye.
What a wonderful mic drop.
I was trying to hit the button to remove the story, and my hand slipped, and I hit the button next to it. So here I am. Anyway, Marvin, I imagine that that was really something to write.
It was.
I wasn't aware that Tim Allen's father had been killed in a car accident. That was all.
I wasn't either until I did the research into this. Yeah, and when I realized that he has spoke about it at length over the years, that it was a just huge source of anger. And we all know, Tim Allen has a very troubled past. He was arrested multiple times, or at least one big arrest. So this was a story that really moved me, and I was glad I got to write about it and kind of got to be a little bit more open with the language than I normally am. Yeah, it was a powerful moment of, I honestly got choked up writing it, but then, I bit my lip and took a deep breath because my name's Montanaro and not Kimmel. But
you were being sincere, so it would have been okay.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it was a beautiful moment. I thought that where faith inspires faith, forgiveness inspires forgiveness, strength inspires strength. And Lord only knows how many people around the world right now have seen that act of grace and have forgiven someone in their own lives who took something terrible from them. So yeah, it was a powerful moment.
Kevin, Martin, any additional thoughts?
After our show on Thursday night, we were talking about this because how could we not? Marvin was actively writing it at the time because it was all so late breaking. But the subject of, could you do this? Could you forgive somebody who did something like that? You came up, and it's a sort of test I don't think anybody wants to face. But for myself, I just don't know that I could. I desperately want to say I can, but I don't know, if I'm being honest. And that kind of faith and grace and love, we need more of in this world.
Kevin?
Yeah, I was going to say it's really, truly an astonishing thing. It's to take something so just awful and see something just that wonderful come out of it. She's proving to be a very powerful speaker.
Yeah.
You just, I get it. We're still a few weeks removed, that it's still find it hard to, to talk about, but just to kind of see someone go through something so awful and then not just have to, not just mourn herself, but the reality of it is that she's got young kids. So, she doesn't get to grieve the way she normally would because she's got to hold it together for the kids. So she's carrying a lot of weight, and to have that, just that kind of clarity, and capacity, it's like I would hope that maybe, Given enough time, I might be able to do the same thing, but I don't think that, I don't think I could. But yeah, I think I'm a little too Gen X wrathful for that. the but I also think that I don't know. It's a discussion for another time, but I understand it, and it's something that I was moved by it. I really, truly, very much so appreciate it. I think the world does need more of that. I think especially really since really I would think maybe the early '90s, we've seen a trend towards dehumanization. Language has been parsed to to minimize how we refer to certain things we can't talk about on YouTube. So you instead of calling something what it is, you refer to in a certain kind of way to make the discussion not be about a human life. You've decided to we've seen language be manipulated in a way that it's easier to paint people that you disagree with as villains and monsters, so that if violence does occur, it is easier for the violence to occur against those people. The and there really is, if you genuinely make a mistake and you are sincere in your apology, not everybody is allowed to be forgiven. So we're just in a place right now where clearly we're at a tipping point, and again, just to see something like that, it kind of gives you a little bit of hope that we can probably heal a little bit, because things you guys have seen me say on Twitter a couple times. You need a little more classic Trek in your life, and you need a little more Jesus.
All right, fellas. I think it's time to get to our main topic, which we have probably delayed for a little too long. This is the top recasts in the middle of a show or a movie series that the producers hoped that you didn't notice. And this was your idea, Kevin. How did you arrive at this topic?
I was watching an episode of The Jeffersons, and it was not the Lionel that I like.
Not Lionel.
Yes, not Lionel. But both of them had the same last name, not related though. I was like, oh, I hate this Lionel. And I started thinking about, and of course you go back to which Darren is my favorite Darren, because we got the two Darrens. And then I'm a soap guy, so I've supped with you many a times where my favorite soap character has been unceremoniously recast. Sometimes it's been a little bit better, but sometimes usually a disaster. And of course we got I think two of the greatest recastings of all time in the Becky Connor saga, and of course Catwoman. Our three Catwomen. So it's like I wanted to do a deep dive and talk about some of the ones that did not work, like the recasting of Aunt Harriet and rather Harriet and Aunt Viv. But then talk about genius recastings like we saw in Dallas, which led to the creation of one of the greatest cliffhangers in TV history. And it had more people watching it than people vote in this country.
So we kind of excuse me, we pushed the start of the show a bit. We were a little late getting started, so I wasn't able to gather together images, which I apologize for. I was hoping to have images for these. And Kevin, as it turns out, your list included everybody that I had on my list. So I'm going to back out of it because you had everybody that needed to be there for me. But this was your idea, so we're going to save you for last, I think. Marvin, who did you put on your list?
Oh, gosh. So Dumbledore in Harry Potter, when they had to go from Richard Harris to Michael Gambon. Rachel Dawes in the Dark Knight trilogy as a downgrade, going home to Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Yep.
You got War Machine, which I actually think Don Cheadle was an upgrade from Terrence Howard. I don't think
I'll fight you on that one. I like.
Terrence Howard's voice was strong enough to be War Machine. I think he was too soft spoken. I think Mark Ruffalo from Ed Norton is one of the worst ever. Yep. I think probably the one that cheeses me off the most, going from Jodie Foster to Julianne Moore as Clarice Starling from Silence of the Lambs to Hannibal, disgusting. I mean, Aunt Viv is probably one of the biggest ones, right? Becky, I love Sarah Chalke as Becky, and it led to one of my favorite moments when they go back to what is it, Lacey Goranson?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And we have that where she walks in the kitchen and Roseanne's like, "Where the hell have you been?" Like everyone keeps saying that to her. I thought that was really funny.
Sorry, I say especially that she's only back part time, so they keep bouncing back and forth. And whenever she comes back, it's always the same thing. Where the hell have you been?
Mm-hmm. Well, so when Ed Skrein left Game of Thrones and they recast Dario Naharis and never even made an attempt to make him look like Dario, like he just looks like a completely different character.
I forgot about that.
Is that your complete list?
Yeah, I mean they switched the mountain on Game of Thrones 3 different times.
They did?
But yeah, that's pretty much my list.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the mountain, I have it written down here. Hold on. The mountain was played by 3 different actors. Conan Stevens in season 1, Ian White in season 2, and then half-poor Julius plays him from seasons 4 to 8.
I was not aware. That's
why he gets so much bigger as the series goes on.
Martin Stone, what do you have for your list?
You're muted, Martin.
Kevin's list is big. So
it is.
I've been trying to parse through what he's going to be covering and what I have that he doesn't.
Yeah, it was kind of hard and not. It was hard not to get everybody that was on Kevin's list.
No, I mean there's James Bond, but in a way you kind of have to excuse that because you're telling you've got movies over. Wow, was it 60 years now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's that, but it's not like they didn't know we'd notice because they were originally on Her Majesty's Secret Service. They were considering having the stunt double from the previous movie go into a plastic surgeon's office and have him remade to look like the new Bond.
I was convinced they were going to do that with the Hulk. That when she found the Hulk in Nepal, she was going to say like you even had surgery to change your face to hide from the government.
That would have made. No, that wouldn't. It's better just to ignore it, I think.
Yeah.
But the one that wasn't on his list that was actually kind of surprising to me was when Alan Arkin got subbed in for Peter Sellers in Inspector Clouseau. And that movie just didn't work.
Mm-mm.
Is that one? You got anything else?
I mean, a lot of the stuff that's on his list was on mine. Like, for instance, Maria Bella as in The Mummy, subbing her in.
Yeah, that totally didn't work. I actually like Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, but you can't replace Rachel Weisz.
No. And then Bewitched was obviously in the list.
That's the big one.
Yeah. Touched on Dallas. That 70s show was actually had made my list as well, but I mean, Kevin's going to bring some passion to it, so I want to hear what he's.
All right, hit it, Kevin. You've outclassed us all.
So I broke it up into 2. I did movies and I did TV separate. I spent so much time doing this that I did forget some obvious ones like Kirstie Alley and Robin Curtis in Star Trek. I'm actually mad at myself for that one. And then I can't remember the actor's name. The guy who played Harry Mudd in the classic Star Trek replaces Orson Welles' Unicron in Transformers. I kicked it off with George McFly, Crispin Glover to Jeffrey Weissman because Crispin Glover wanted more money and probably didn't want to put on the prosthetics, so they just used some footage. And then we went to the future. We slapped some makeup on somebody else and kept it moving. It was a Damian Porter, or how do you say his name? Poitier, as Thanos at the end of the original Avengers movie, to be replaced by Josh Brolin. Victoria from Twilight. Well, I can't remember her name. What is it? Rachel Lefreve got turned into Bryce Dallas Howard. I remember my wife watching it and going, she's a different person now. She was really upset about that. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I kept it moving. Well, I'm gonna move this one to the bottom because this one should be on everybody's list. But we talked about the Mummy. I had Grip Hook, right? That's his name from Harry Potter. First was Vern Troyer, and then it became Warwick Davis.
Yeah.
The Oracle, because she passed away. Obviously we got Ruffalo and Norton, War Machine.
Oh, the Oracle! I forgot about that one.
Jennifer from Back to the Future. She gets replaced by Elizabeth Shue. Let's see. I had Dumbledore, but we jumped to TV, and that was my favorite one. That was my favorite one. So obviously we got Harriet and Aunt Viv. We got the two Darrens. I do always like to point out that Dick Sargent was originally the first choice for Darren, and that he had a scheduling conflict, which is why we got Dick York. And the main reason that we swapped out from Dick York was that the man was literally suffering from exhaustion and passed out, and had to be taken to the hospital. Newman on Seinfeld was originally Larry David.
Really?
In the first season, Newman is just a voice from across the hall. And when they wanted to have the character appear on TV, Larry David realized that he was not right for the part.
Larry David is every disembodied voice on Seinfeld. He's so many of them. Steinbrenner is I love him as George Steinbrenner. He was a communist. Where does they come?
Mandy from Last Man Standing. She was I don't know how to say her name. I think it's like Molly Ephraim, and we got replaced with another Molly McCook. That the show got canceled at ABC when it went over to Fox. They had to change it. I think both actresses do a good job. I actually really liked Last Man Standing because I thought it was going to be my life for a while before my boy came. Before my boy came, I was definitely positive that I was going to be having at least two more girls. But they played the characters very differently. The McCook takes a more of a physical comedy approach to it, which I think was kind of fitting because Fox definitely does comedy a little differently than most of the networks. The Molly on Friends, Rachel's friend, I think in the first or second episode, was originally she was originally Jennifer Grey, but I didn't know it was Jennifer Grey at the time because it's post Nose Job Jennifer Grey.
Please tell me you have Topanga's parents from Boy Meets World on here.
I was going
he has
to
Topanga on here,
but I have Topanga on here. I actually have all three Topangas on here. So there was Bonnie Morgan who got fired because they felt like she couldn't handle the role, handle her lines. Then we got Daniel Fishel, and then they fired her because she didn't have a grip on her lines. But I can't remember which one of the producers really liked her, so he wasn't happy about it. Then they replaced her with Marla Sokoloff. Who what show does she go on?
Wasn't she on Full? Wasn't she the bad influence friend on Full House?
Yeah. She goes to be the bad influence friend on Full
Wait,
House.
they actually cast her because I knew it was down to her and Danielle to be Topanga, and Danielle beat her out for it. I had never heard that they fired Danielle. I had heard that they threatened to fire her because
they removed her and sent her home, and then the chemistry wasn't right, and the producer who really liked her was like, no, this is the way to go, we're making a big mistake. And then they eventually brought her back in, and then we got our Topanga.
I love her. I love her as much as I hate Ryder Strong.
I understand.
when you listen to Pod Meets World, like you're just like, oh wow, Danielle and Will are like the greatest people alive, and Ryder Strong is just the worst human being. Like he's just like, the show's just so sitcom-y. And then Will's like, it's a sitcom.
It's a sitcom for children, doofus.
He has written dozens of scripts, and not one scene has ever been filmed of one of them. I cannot even imagine how bad. He sold a bunch. They never get made. I can't imagine how bad they must be.
Oh my goodness! So with the Munsters, Grandpa Al Lewis was not the first choice.
Really?
Originally it was Nate Dermond in an in color unaired pilot. He played the character a little too dark, and the producers weren't really happy with it. So Fred Gwynn was like, "Hey, call my good friend from Car 54. We had really great chemistry together." He came in, and then they realized that because he had such a vaudeville presence, that they would actually get more out of it if they kept it in black and white, because he totally brought a different aesthetic to the show. Marilyn is on my list because we have 3 Marilyns. Where is she? I can't remember the names though. Oh, here we go. So our first Marilyn is Beverly Owen. She played role for I think the first 13 episodes. Decided that she wanted to be a mom, so she got married, moved to New York, and left the role. Then we had the Marilyn that most people know about, Pat Priest, who she finished out the entire show, and then Hollywood's going to decide to be Hollywood, and they're going to fix something that ain't broke. So when they decided to make the movie, which was an absurd bomb. They forced Debbie Watson into the role and told Beverly Owen to go scratch. And then, but she dodged a bullet because that movie was awful and it destroyed Debbie Watson's career.
Oh, wait, are we talking about the Rob Zombie one that just came out that was so weird?
Oh
no! There's a it's called Munster Go Home. It's
okay. That yeah.
Is that the made-for-TV movie where they make a second Herman?
No. This was an actual theatrical release.
Huh.
So I put this one's a little bit of a stretch, but I put it on it for sentimental reasons. The Goldbergs, Pop, George Siegel, he passed away while they were in the middle of filming the show, and because he was such an integral part to the story. They needed to find a way to say goodbye because the character that he's inspired by actually went on to live way later in Adam Goldberg's life. They used clips from unused footage, and then they used his stunt double, and then they CG'd his face. They put it on digitally so they could give him an appropriate goodbye. So I thought that was really nice. Here's a dark horse for everybody. April O'Neil from the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon.
Yes.
Renee Jacobs, who was the character really up until the last 2 seasons, which we refer to as the Red Sky era. The Batman the Animated Series and the X-Men cartoons and other I guess other anime started kind of creeping through, and it was a little too dark, and they thought that the kids were into the Turtles anymore because the Turtles were a little too hokey. So they booted Renee and replaced her with Ash Ketchum. Let's see what we got.
Wait, were you talking about also when they recast April from the first movie to?
Oh no, I was talking about the cartoon. I skipped.
Okay,
the movie. I skipped the movie April. They
recast her from one movie to Secret of the Ooze.
Yeah. I don't remember what the reasoning was, but they swapped her out, and then she was April all the way through.
The reason I just actually watched a video on this. Apparently, the reason was the first actress gave them a lot of pushback in the first movie about a lot of she kept having creative ideas and she didn't like the violence. She thought it was all too violent, and they were just like, all right, yeah, we are going to tone down the violence, but we're also not bringing you back.
Of course, we got Boy Meets World Morgan. The first.
Oh yeah, Yep, I've been in timeout for a long time. So they tell a story on Pod Meets World that when they got picked up for season 2, they announced it to the live studio audience, and that's how the cast found out. So Michael Jacobs brings the whole cast out and goes, "We are picked up for season 2." And Lily, the little girl who played Morgan, goes, "No!" and runs off the stage.
I
did not want to do it. And then every time Topanga's parents showed up, they were different people because it was only Peter Tork once.
I was gonna lump Topanga's parents in with them. I just couldn't find the name of the actresses. There's an episode of Saved by the Bell. I think it's called the Friendship Business. There's a character named Jasmine who is played by 2 different actors in the same episode. So she starts out as one actress in the first half, and when they come back, it's a different actress in the second half. No one addresses it. It just goes on, and we move on. I just could not remember the two actresses' names, and I couldn't find it. I went to use the Google, and I couldn't get the names. I'm like, all right, I'm putting too much time into this. I actually had to get some things accomplished. All right, so we're in my soap era right now. So we're going to Dallas. Ellie Ewing was played by Barbara Bell Giddens. She was replaced by Donna Reed. People did not like the Donna Reed era of Dallas, even though Donna Reed was a TV staple. They played the two parts radically different. The first actress had suffered a heart attack and needed to step away. They signed Donna Reed to a 3-season contract, and when the first actress said, I'm okay, I can come back to work, they immediately fired Donna Reed. So what did Donna Reed do instead? She sued them, and they gave her $1 million to put it all away. Let's see, Dallas again. Jenna Wade, she was a girlfriend for Bobby, originally played by Morgan Fairchild for the first batch of episodes. Then she gets replaced by Francine Tracker, which she was really just kind of a placeholder. She had one episode, and then the character gets played by Priscilla Presley until the end, and that was kind of like her defining role, other than being, Elvis's child bride. Here's the big one. Dallas again. Kristen Shepard. She's originally played by Colleen Camp, and then was played by Mary Crosby, Bing's daughter. The character was originally brought in for just a quick little plot for JR to kind of get his son to leave his wife, and of course, Bobby was he decides to do the right thing like any normal man would do, and decides he's going to work it out with his wife. But the character got a lot of good had a good reception, so they figured out how to bring her back, and they recast her, and the character was so popular and like involved in all kinds of Major Nelson's evil schemes, and then he kind of puts her through the ringer, and it all leads up to the super cliffhanger of who shot JR, and then when they do the big reveal, it was Kristen, but 83 million people tuned in to find out who shot JR. So I was curious to see, so I went and looked it up, and on average, that's 10 million more than people actually vote for president in this country. Let's see. Dynasty, Fallon Carrington, played by Pam Sue Martin, gets replaced by Emma Sands. To pull this off, they do one of my favorite soap opera things, because they were making a spinoff called The Carringtons, because I guess apparently in the late 70s and the 80s, people could not get enough of rich people being oil tycoons, mostly living in Denver. So they write the character off. Super popular, but they want to do the characters. They realize that we need the character to come back, so they recast her. And instead of going through a whole long thing of trying to explain why she looks different, when she comes back, she has amnesia. Doesn't know who she is. We don't know who she is. And then they reveal that it's it's Fallon, and then they kind of reboot the characters, a lot kinder, gentler version of the character. People kind of hated it. You kind of were divided up into two camps, and then they eventually, just accepted it and rolled with it. Oh, I did forget about the Jock Ewing swap. Let's say I didn't have a lot of time. Let's see, we get to Lori and that.
This is what you put together with not a lot of time?
Yeah. Yeah. I just listen. Sometimes I had a lot of Tylenol when I was a kid.
That's going to be the go-to. Wow, your mom took a lot of Tylenol.
A lot of Tylenol. The Waltons, John Boy, Richard Thomas, and Robert Reitman. John Boy. I don't know if anybody has seen the Waltons, but I do highly recommend it if you happy perusing some old school TV. The Waltons was essentially the personification of kind-hearted Americana, and the John Boy character is essentially your narrator through the family's adventures. Richard Thomas decided that he wanted to not be typecast, so he leaves in season 5. He's gone for a little bit, and then someone decided that we need to bring the character back. So instead of trying to get him back, they recast him, and oh boy, did not go well. It did not go well. to the point that when they decided to bring the Waltons back for a couple of TV specials, they totally omit anything that happened during the Robert Reitman years. So like he comes back with a whole "I want to war" subplot, and of course has a little bit of amnesia. And they're like, nope, none of that ever happened. John Boy went to New York to be a writer, and then he came home to visit the family. So, which also made me almost had me put Principal Skinner on here. But I was like, oh well, they kind of retconned that too, though. I couldn't remember what his real name was, so I skipped it.
Is
So
it like
you have
Armin?
Family Guy on
yeah,
here?
Armin something. I couldn't remember what it was though. But yeah, it was Armin something. What are you
Yeah,
saying? Lord?
Do you have Family Guy?
Oh, with
Mila Kunis.
Lacey Chabert to Mila Kunis as Meg.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I did forget about that. And then the changing of Cleveland Jr. Although I do appreciate how they explain that.
They recast Cleveland also now.
Well, I know. Well, that's because you can't be only black people can play black people.
Hey y'all, sock it to me.
We touched on I don't want to skip over this one. Lori from That 70s Show, originally played by Elisa Robin Kelly. She had a lot of struggles, and so they swapped out with Christina Moore, and it was a radically different character. So she went from being like this firebrand hellraiser to kind of being like this little bastion of sweetness, and people didn't really like it. So they sent her off to Canada, which is in TV means we don't know what to do with you, so we're going to send you someplace else. We touched on the Jeffersons. We touched on Becky. This is one of my favorites. The A-Team, Faceman. Before we had Dirk Benedict, we had Tim Dunningham, who the network felt was too young to be playing a Vietnam veteran. He goes into another show, and it's eluding me right now. I just for the life of me can't remember. I had Petticoat Junction on here because they replaced Bobby Joe, but I could not remember the actress's name, so I skipped it. Life Goes On. Paige Thatcher, actress, gets pregnant, decides to move on for life at the end of the first season. We have a different page going forward. But here we go. My top three: Chuck Cunningham, the birther of Chuck Cunningham syndrome, where shows don't know what to do with the sibling, so they send them off to their room, and you never see them again.
Was that recast, or was he just eliminated?
It was recast in the first season.
Yeah, so in the Love American Style back pilot, he starts out as what is it? It's Rick Carriot, and then he becomes was it Gavin, or how do you say his last name? O'Henry.
I don't know.
He's in Superman 3 as Lana's a D-bag boyfriend, and he's Eric. He's Eric the Red and Willow. And then they swap out the basketball player Chuck for Randolph Roberts, and then he goes up to his room, and we never see him again. And then my top two, like I said before, my Catwomen, Julie Newmar, Mary Lee Weather, Eartha Kitt. The three women who I picked, they hit the top because one, the Eartha Kitt casting was revolutionary at the time. You put a black woman in a prominent role, and then I think she's the first black woman to be cast as a comic book character, then to be in a kind of have that major supporting character in a comic book show. And then the three of them combined kind of redefined how they treated Catwoman in the comics. She was not used in the comics at all. I actually think she was on the banned list with the Joker. Once the comic book code authority got thrown in there, DC, because it was older, kind of caught the wrath. And actually, Batman was a big focus of the attacks. In terms of how what the comics code authority was looking at. So they Catwoman and Joker were put on ice for a really long time. I actually don't think we get the Joker back until the mid to late 70s. Cesar Romero was the Joker for pretty much an entire generation. And then Catwoman, because she proved to be so popular from the TV show, they allowed her to be trickled back in just a very little bit. But because the three women were so prolific, they changed a lot of what the character was. She stopped being just a two-bit thief, and got a brand new costume and a whole new personality. And then of course we talked about it. Becky Connor, the original actress Lacey, decides that she wants to go to school. They replace with Shara Chalk. She is Becky for a big chunk of time. She comes back. They volley the roll back and forth until Chalk finishes off, and then when we do the Roseanne reboot, gave me one of my favorite scenes where what was Sarah Chalk's character's name in the reboot, where she goes to Lacey and picks her as her surrogate, and then they grab each other and go, "Oh my gosh, I can see why you picked me. We look just like each other." And the Sarah Chalk goes, "Oh my gosh, that's right. You look just like me before I put my makeup on in the morning."
Hey, what about Bruce Drummond to Christopher Sabat as Vegeta?
Well, I felt I was a little torn with the with what to do with the DBZ, because the ocean dub, the what was it called, the Kai dub, and then the regular dubs. So I didn't dive too much into there, but I also, if I had a little more time, there would have been a few more things I threw on the list.
It's just Brian Drummond to everybody else kind of stayed in the same lane when they did the recast, but Brian Drummond to Christopher Sabat is such a wild departure.
Yeah.
Just a completely different take on the character.
Well, guys, we got a bunch of super chats to get to. Many of them are from Jack White, so you got some reading to do, Marvin.
Oh boy.
Let's start with Jack White for 20.
The premise of Gachiakute is about a boy named Rudo who lives in a city in the sky called the Sphere, and he gets accused of murder, and the residents of the Sphere banish him to the surface, which is covered in garbage.
And Jack White for 10.
Detroit?
The garbage they've dumped on it, he swears revenge against them for it, but he must first survive against very toxic parts of the surface and the trash beasts, literal monsters made of garbage.
And Jack White for 50.
Says, I'm an atheist. You can read this one.
Nope, go for it. You're doing great.
He says he's an atheist, but he can recognize that a lot of the stuff we've seen over the last decade or more is a result of the new atheists arguing that religion is the main source of evil and that things would be so much better if we got rid of it.
And Jack White for 20.
But being either unaware or unwilling to acknowledge that the theory they were pushing had already been disproven by the largely secular regimes of the 20th century, the red and fascist regimes to be exact.
And Jack White for 10.
And look what happened. The people in those cases filled in the religious or God hole with the state, and now we have between 100 million or 150 million people dead as a result.
And Jack White for 5.
In the span of a century, name me a religious crusade that ever managed to mount a body count that high in that short a span of time.
And Jack White for 10.
May I throw in a couple of good recast examples? The Funimation dub cast for Dragon Ball Z and the Funimation cast dub for One Piece, and the fact that they uncensored the second series.
And Jack White for 5.
Because 4Kids, when they were doing the dubbing for One Piece, they censored the F out of it and skipped over certain story arcs.
And that was it for Jack White. And we have Michael Steele for 5 Canadian dollars. I was at a panel with Rob Paulson. He did the Nation song from memory on a request. It was incredible to hear live.
I think it's Robert Paulson, but yes.
How dare you not use his proper name?
And he's updated it too to include like modern countries because the map has shifted. So I've heard on YouTube there's a video of him doing an updated version of it with current countries.
So Englandstein.
We have, and I hope I pronounced this right, it is Mad Anan, who became a YouTube member. I don't know at what level, but thank you for joining us. And we have One Dirty Bird for $5. I'd venture to say it might be the power of the Holy Spirit. And we have Maravita for $19.99. As a woman who has been through certain things during a time when it wasn't something you exposed, I can say that forgiving the aggressor is healing for you. I did not care about their feelings, but I needed it for me. And I believe that brings us to the end of the Super Chats, but for that last one from Miravita, I do have a video here, if I can locate it, because I'm blind, apparently. Here we go. And then before we wrap, something that we have not had for a while that I'm hoping will be kind of fun is our top 10 is going to make a return. These are the top 10 Star Wars movies we will see before the Rey movie, and these come to us from Karen Owen, who has always been gracious in making these for us, and hope you enjoy them. We have number 10, The Phantom Audience. Number 9, Attack of the Ewoks.
And that's Return of the Jedi.
From a certain point of view, yes.
They attack multiple times.
So many.
The guys get hungry.
They were going to eat Han Solo.
Oh, 110%.
And
No
where
question.
did they get that dress for Leia?
From someone else they ate.
Exactly. I think the
Don't-
little blonde girl from the Ewok Adventures.
100%.
Definitely way overestimated her kinship with the Ewoks, huh?
I think they raised her like cattle.
In the old Ewok stuff, do they ever have a moment where like you see like a drawing of like some Ewok god and it looks like C-3PO?
I'm still shocked that you can't eat Sindel Tawani. She actually appears later in the EU. Believe it or not, as a cameo. That's actually true.
Cool.
Super Dave is with you. You should know better, Marv.
Number 8, Revenge of Cara Dune.
I'll buy that for $1.
Which technically she already got.
Well, the only strong, powerful woman that Star Wars actually succeeded in creating in the modern era, and everyone then they hated her.
Number 7, A New Wookiee.
I'd be down for a new Wookiee.
I think that's Jonas Swatomo. Number 6,
Well, let's come on cameo.
R2 Strikes Back.
About time. He's been taking stuff. He's been taking everyone's crap for too long.
Yeah, but when he strikes back, he sets other droids on fire.
He just blows their motivator. Number
Hard to
5, Return of the Gungan.
Misa like.
Do you really?
gonna make you pay.
Is that something you're totally into?
At this point, why not?
I want a Darth Jar Jar storyline.
Number 4,
In the PS2 version of The Force Awakens, one of the boss fights was like a Gungan bounty hunter, and it was like, "You are gonna die." Like it was.
Mandalorian and Grogu 2, Baby Yoda Boogaloo.
I'm out.
Nice. That... We're gonna rock out to Baby Boogaloo.
Number 3, Mandalorian and Grogu.
Well, yeah.
Number 2, 50th anniversary re-release. Now, my question here is, the original versions or one of the special editions?
Good question. You will have to pull these from my cold, dead hands.
Yeah.
Number 1, Starfighter.
So some of these are just accurate.
Yeah, I did hear some people were speculating that the picture that they showed of Ryan Gosling that they put out this week for him is, they're saying that, well, obviously they're adapting Legacy because he looks like Cade Skywalker. It's like, guys, they already said this isn't going to be attached to the Skywalkers. Although he does kind of have the look, but
It does look like Cade Skywalker. They're right.
Yep, but no such luck, I'm afraid. But that's it for us tonight, folks. This has been an incredibly long show for us, but hope you all enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun, and hope that you get the most out of your weekend before going back to the work week. We'll see you again next Tuesday. Take care until then.
Lorn and Apollo!